Most people are going to miss this amazing short trade on Bitcoin that is upcoming here over the next few days. My role in this video is, of course, to make sure you are not missing out and fully prepared and planned for what is to come next. I will say very honestly and transparently right now, I am not in a short trade locally here on Bitcoin, and I am looking for a further rise to the upside. But this rise is what I am looking to short. One thing that I need to say, first of all, is in Chart Champions, we have strategies of how to get into our long and short trades. When price is dropping, the strategy that we'll be looking for is, of course, towards longs. We can only take longs when price is dropping. So when and how do we take our short trades? We will only focus on shorts when price is rising. That's just a big fundamental of how we trade at Chart Champions. And it actually flips it on the head of most people, because most people will feel FOMO and look to be buying when price is rising. And when price drops, they're in full fear, bearish, it's going to go lower and miss all longs or even short the lows. So, we really try and flip that on its head and take advantage of the dips to take our longs and short the rises. So I want to be talking you through that. And I actually got a very nice bit of alpha golden nugget to share with you all, which I'll share towards the end of this video, of how we can be looking to trade this weekend price action as we go into the CME Open tonight, leaving another CME gap, and how we can approach the short trade there. So this is going to be based off of statistical data that I have, so it's going to be a nice video. I'm truly looking forward to this one. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get back over to the chart. So we're trading here around $110.8 thousand. But I want to pick up right where I left off my last video for you all, where I was actually very bearish, looking for lower prices to come. Off the back of that video, we actually saw nearly a $5,000 drop to the downside. So that was a very nice video indeed, I have to say, because we were correct with that drop to come. And that drop, where did we drop down to? Well, you can see here, it bounced off of the lower trend line of the triangle. So we were mapping this out as again, this is not necessarily a massive support level, but it was a support level to be aware of nevertheless, right? And price made its way down, hit into those 22nd of October lows. So these were the 22nd of October lows, which we had liquidity. Why? Because this was a double bottom liquidity, which of course brought us up to the high of the overall range, $116,000, where we had some short trades. But anyway, we made our way down to those double bottom lows, and most importantly, off of the trend line of that triangle. And actually, amazing shout out to a few different champions here, because, especially Doug, who says he was scared to long the low here. So this is what it looked like, by the way. This was, back on the 31st, we were coming, the 30th. We were coming down on the 30th to hit into that trend line. This is what it looked like live in the time on the 30th. And very important, I can say here, very nice to see that, most people like Doug here, they get scared at the lows, but thanks to the coaching that we give at Chart Champions, he actually managed to take the long trade. So that's really, really impressive there. Wanted to give a big shout out to Doug, and also Sebastian, who also had a very nice around one Bitcoin position long trade there from the trend line at $107.5 thousand. So he's obviously there, waited for the reaction, the reclaim, and then executed the long. So there's some real nice strategy there with the entry triggers on the long there from Sebastian, and also just a big shout out to Doug, who would not like most people get scared on this drop, but he managed to take the long trade. So yeah, but really wanted to give the shout outs there because it was very impressive. Anyway, we can see a very nice bounce off of that trend line. Let me just draw it out for you so you can all see exactly what we're on about here. This was the trend line of the triangle from touch number 1, touch number 2, expanded along there, and you can see how you got that touch number 3. Okay, as you zoom in there, you can see touch number 3, 2, the original point. And what we're coming up to now, of course, is the resistance from the opposite trend line, from the triangle high here to the second touch, expanding that down along. You can see we are very, very close to it now. We are just a few $100s away from the top of that trend line, and we've got the confluence here. So you can already see I'm going to be building up a little bit of confluence. First of all, simply we're going to add on the range point of control. So that is from current price action to that 10th of October $19 billion liquidations that we saw. Like, After that, we were expecting consolidation. A lot of people this is the thing, right? You could probably hear me talking about this a lot. Most people truly get wrecked in these markets because their emotions. They see a massive move to the downside. It's fear, selling everything. Well, it's really this is not what you want to do, right? On these massive moves to the downside, first of all, they are long opportunities, of course. But second of all, after such a move like that, the context is, okay, we're going to enter consolidation. And we're nearly now a month into that. So, it's not a time of fear, let's say. It's a time of opportunity, if anything. Anyway, consolidation for nearly a month. But anyway, we're coming up into that range point of control. This is really simply the highest volume transactions at that dollar amount during the past, 3 weeks now, right? So a very important level for me. And you can see how that lines up ever so perfectly with the top of that trend line. But we have one more just epic level of confluence here, and that is the anchored VWAP from the high of the fake out $116,000. We'll add that on. You can now see up there around 111.4 thousand to 111.250 there $1,000. You can see that we got this really tight little confluence zone. It's about a $200 confluence of 3 very important levels. The CC does not line up with it, but it's something that I'll be aware of, and I will expand upon why I'm mentioning this CC around $113,000, even though our confluence is towards $111.4 thousand, and it's to do with the weekend rises that we've been seeing, which I want to expand upon. So yeah, I would say we have 2 big levels of interest for this upcoming short trade. So I want to be basically going in a little bit more detail of the precision and entry trigger for this short. First of all, though, I actually want to spend something, probably be about 5 minutes here, but it's something that's very important to me and for the community and, really everybody watching this video. I don't know whether inspirational is the right word, because it's probably not inspiration that I'm going to be giving it, just life talk. One thing that I love about Chart Champions is we have a very big family feel, and our community is tight. We are a very tight-knit community, right? We're spending all day, every day together. I mean, how could we not be? And we also do in-person events. You get the idea. Chart Champions is all about that family feel. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about Chart Champions, of course, and linking this to my own personal journey. So yeah, I hope that you can maybe learn from my mistakes. That's what I could call it here. Learning from my mistakes, but also understanding the growth of a person. And it links to a comment, actually, that I had on Twitter, or X, however you would like to refer to it as, my friends. And it actually was basically saying, you cannot change. The person you were back then is the person you are now. Making a comment of saying, basically, you cannot have personal growth. I cannot respect you because of things that you've done a few years ago. And referring to a comment that I made prior to this, saying, if you were in Chart Champions in 2021, 2022, early 2023, it was a little bit of a, let's just say, very immature space in terms of, just me, the community. There was lots of trolling. It was not very helpful. It wasn't professional. It was very unorganized. Well, first of all, we recognized and have changed those things. And I was just saying, if you were a member back in 2021, 2022, 2020, early 2023, in the times where I was just going around traveling left, right, and center, I said, now, here in 2025, going into 2026, Chart Champions, first of all, is just truly unrecognizable from there. The level of professionality has just gone up leaps and bounds. I mean, the team, our staff has changed. We are just a much closer knit unit. And if you are here as a member now, you can truly see how we have just truly is massively improved, and the experience that you would have had as a member back then, oh my god, it is just, like I say, unrecognizable, just massively improved and so much more positive now. But that doesn't happen randomly, and that's what I want to talk about here for a few minutes. And that is linking to this. Well, first of all, a lot of people say this to me, that Chart Champions, or any business, actually, let's just relate this to any business. People will tell me that it starts at the top level, and however that top level is, it sprinkles down to everybody else, especially in the community. So you can imagine me in 2021, right? Just to give you some context, at this point in my life, I was, first of all, moving. So I was leaving England. I was in the process of leaving my home country. I had made some epic trades. I'd already done epic trades in my life, but one of the standout ones at the end of 2020, right, was Shiba coin. So if you're around here, you know Shiba coin from a few thousands actually had unrealized profits of around 800 million. You know, I felt like a god when it comes to trading. I just felt like this trading god. I called the market moves, and I was just anything but humble. I had a massive ego. I felt just simply on top of the world. I was like, I don't know. I had a drive to help people. I think, you know, that's always been there, but I just had it in a very arrogant, very egotistical way where I just felt untouchable. I just felt I can do whatever I want. People are just going to want to know what my trade is, but I'd done it in such a ugly way, let's say, at this point in time. And again, I say I was very immature. I was very immature. You know, I was, yeah, this is all I can say, really, right? I just was at that point in my life super interested in, you know, taking girl left, right, and center. It was something that, you know, really wasn't what you would expect from a professional group, right? And so via my process of change, you know, that has been a big factor, I do believe, of how then chart champions, you know, from my immature self to my much now more mature and professional self, how this sprinkles down on the community, right? I was a troll back here and immature. Well, now I'm not a troll and I've grown up. Okay, and so I wanted to just mention this because, you know, the guy's saying here, you were grown men back then as you are now. You showed your true characters, and you know, almost saying that you cannot mature, you cannot change as a person. I think is the wrong attitude. Of course, people can judge me from what I've done in 2021. You know, if you still hold that opinion of me now, then, you know, I hope my actions speak louder than anything I can say here on video, right? At the end of the day, you shouldn't just judge someone by what they say, but you should judge someone by what they do. And so I can only imagine that this guy is not watching, because we're here every single day making content, giving our all for the group. But anyway, of course, people are entitled to their opinions, but I also think people are entitled to a second chance. You know, it's not like I've done anything drastically crazy in 2021, but nevertheless, I've done things wrong. And I just think, like, all of us, right, whether you're 18 years old, whether you're 30 years old, whether you're 50 years old, we never reach the top of where we are, right? We're always striving to improve every day. I want to get better than what I am today. I always want to get better. And I think there's four main factors of how I personally managed to improve myself, thus improve the community and my whole life. And so this is what I wanted to share with you today in this. I still thought a 2-minute section here, but let's say 2 minutes more. Factor number one, and again, this is not in any order, but all of the four factors together, and there's probably more, but I'm just going to list four here. Number one is accepting criticism and striving to improve from that feedback. So it's very easy to have an echo chamber and just only listen to the good things. But, you know, constructive criticism is super helpful. You know, back in the day in this section, you know, we had no coaches only channels. Everything was just posted in general chat. We had no live trading. You know, there was the modules were not even organized. So, you know, you can just imagine this is a total unstructured business that we had essentially running at this point in time. But again, I was young. To be fair, we also had a degree of inexperience, right? I'd had businesses in the past, but never on the scale in terms of massive online community like this. You know, this is the first time I've ever led an online community, right? So there was a lot of learning to do. And so I think mistakes are natural. So the inexperience combined with my own immaturity, you know, overall anyway, where I'm going with this is listening to that feedback, taking it on and realizing, hey, these people actually do have a very good point. And I can say, I think this is one good factor is, well, I personally got massively humbled, right? I got humbled. I was brought down a peg. And, you know, I really realized that this is a good reset in my life that I needed. Okay. And so, yeah, listening to that feedback and humbling yourself is super, super, super important. And then striving for improvement. Factor number two, was finding a wife. Right? As you can see, I am married. So that was a massive factor for me, though. And I will just say on this point, you know, you can think you're on top of the world. Again, I had all this money flowing in. I just thought I was a god. And, you know, I was in this thing where I just had this mindset of I can just do whatever I want, right? Nothing can happen to me. And all I can say with this is, you're never going to find true happiness going left, right, and center, girl to girl to girl to girl, right? I truly believe this. Find a wife, settle down, and your level of happiness is going to skyrocket. Simple as that. Factor number 3 that I would say here is a major one of becoming a dad. Right, I became a father, and naturally that is just a whole new level of responsibility that I had, and you know, that makes you grow up fast, if nothing else. And there was one more factor that I was going to list. That was it. How could I forget? Maybe the most important of all, becoming a Christian. I found God, or God found me. So I became a Christian, and that really centered my faith. I've spent every single day this year, and what are we on now? November the 2nd, every single day reading the Bible. I've not missed a day of reading the Bible, and that doesn't mean I'm a good Christian. Okay, there's a difference there. But what I do say is I am implementing what I've learned in the Bible, the commandments, the steps, the stories, the, you know, all these things that you learn through the Bible, and then having that relationship, praying every day. I just think that all of these factors together have made me go from this crazy, egotistical, having no humbleness, I don't know the right word there, but just feeling like God, to realizing, hey, I'm just a guy that made some money trading, and you know, I'm no more special than anybody else, right? When we die, when I die, when everyone dies, we're all in the same grave, the dirt in the ground. We are no special than anyone else. We are all the same. So when you humble yourself and truly realize that, it's like all these possessions, they are not making us who we are. Right? What I own does not define me as a person. So I cannot buy respect. The only way I can get respect is by respecting others, right? And on that wavelength, I just think it just brought me down to a whole new level of, let's focus on what's important here, right? And it's not the money, it's actually the process, first of all, in trading, but also the connections that we form with people. And of course, the Lord above us, right? So yeah, I think that those factors, understanding, feedback, and striving for improvement, a wife, becoming a father, and becoming a Christian. Those things for me is what I believe, and I really do hope that it shows, changed me and thus Chart Champions from a trolling, unprofessional community to what it is today, a very tight-knit unit, professional, focused, world crushing. That hasn't changed. We still crush the charts, but in a much, I want to just say, better way. And so anyway, maybe you didn't enjoy that 5 minutes, but I wanted to talk from my own perspective of that anyway. So I hope that you enjoyed. Anyway, I said we'll end with a segment here on weekend rises, and this is off of the data that we've seen here recently, right? And we have seen, very funny, right? But we've seen this several times now. The drops on the Friday going into then a weekend rise. So we are currently rising, right, on the weekend. We are rising on the weekend. And so we have just above us the key resistance, just above us, just above us, just above us. You know, we missed here a few $100s. So what we can do is have our alerts set. But one factor that I am very much aware of here is we could get a bigger weekend rise. Why? Because as I've been talking you through several times, even within this range, if we get this CME open, which we are on course for at the moment, so our CME gap is going to be around, it's going to be around $109.4 thousand. Okay, this is a very good estimate. Let's say it's going to be within a few dollars of here. It's not going to be far away. But we're going to have the CME gap of around 109.4. And so when we open to CME, again, this is an estimate. Why? Because we're another, you know, the CME is not opening nearly, you know, in around 11-ish hours time, right? It's still got a long time to go before the CME open. What is it now? 11 p.m. UK time. So we got a lot of time to go before this. But let's say we open up and we're trading here. Well, then we have the gap from here to here, right? So you get the idea. But what we've been seeing recently is the gap open and it's squeezing up through Sunday night, Monday, potentially even Tuesday, before you get that decline in price. So that's why I'm just really focused here on two factors. Number one is, yes, if I get the reaction here at the point of control, trend line, anchor view up, it is a short trade for sure. Opportunity, right? I will trade the reaction. But I still have in the back of my mind, let's say, that we can just go through this level because it is what we've been seeing recently on the statistics, right? If we look at the data, we have been seeing those quick rises through resistance on the Sunday, Monday. And that is why we have to be very careful with these rises early week, because they are well, as we've been seeing thus far, look at this. This is a wonderful example, the overall high, right? We rose on the Sunday. There's your CME open, rise, continuation, Monday. And then you come down after putting in the high on Monday to finally fill the CME gap that you left. And that's just one example. And so, you know, we've seen several examples of that within this range. So it's just basically something, you know, that I've recognized. You know, it'll be very silly as a trader to recognize a pattern and then just say, I'm going to ignore it. So I'm not going to ignore that. So yeah, so to summarize here, I believe we have two real key levels of resistance. Number one is, of course, this around $111.2 thousand, just above the current high of the day. If we get a reaction there, then of course we have to be looking for that short trade. But I just would say this, even if we get the reaction, I wouldn't be surprised that it gets another continuation higher. I wouldn't be surprised. On to that Monday, Tuesday continuation. Okay, so it's Monday or Tuesday that we look to put in those highs. And in terms of the CC, yes, we saw that's coming in around 112.5. But then we have the value area high of the range coming in at the daily naked point of control, 113.9. And when you look at this on the 4-hour chart, you can see how we have gone very nicely recently from value area high, of course, fake out of the value area, but then to value area high, value area low. Again, another fake out of high, but loss, back test of value area high. And then another little fake out to take out the 22nd of October lows. Back into the range. Well, now we're coming up to the point of control. So if we get through the point of control, then it would make sense to our next target to be walked towards where? Well, that value area high. Because we are very much within the value areas. Again, little fake outs of highs, lows, but overall, you know, once you got the reclaims of these levels, well, that's, for example, how Sebastian got into his long. You wait for the reclaim. He took the long trade. Anyway, like, once you see those types of moves, then, you know, I just think that would be my next very big interest for a short trade. So, again, that's how I approach the chart. It's very calm, collected, planned. You know, I'm not ever going to be taking a trade randomly in the spur of the moment. You know, I plan very methodically, and I've spent a lot of time making my plans because, well, that's how you succeed. It's as simple as that, right? So it avoids me taking. Final words I will say here is this, right? Most people fail in trading not because of their technical analysis, not because of their trading skill. It's because of their emotions. And so the one of the best way to avoid that emotional rush and making you mess up trades is to plan out your trades very well. Plan out your entry, plan out your take profits, plan out your entry trigger. Okay? And that's not to say you're going to do it perfectly, but you're going to do it a lot better if you follow your plan than the guy that's trading in the spur of the moment on emotions, right? This guy blows up his account and gets wrecked. The champions with a plan, you know, we're looking for that consistent profit. We're not expecting to win every single trade we take. No, we're going to miss some trades. We're going to lose some trades. But over time, that consistency, well, we're going to be beating the market. And that's what you learn at Chart Champions. So yeah, if you would like to, maybe you were a member prior, maybe you're a new member starting up today. All I can say is this: Chart Champions is the best it has ever been. You will never see a better Chart Champions because I truly believe well, of course, we're always striving to get better, but what we offer now is just the best it has ever been. Live trading, coaches channels, talking through altcoins, futures, you name it, we got it. On top of the whole now completed course for you all. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Thank you ever so much. You know where to get us if you want more. Thank you. And that's me signing out. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And goodbye.